Right now at 10, an incident on I-44 near Joplin backs up traffic for hours. Plus, a benefit poker run is held to raise money for a COVID long-haul survivor. And more shootings around the country over the weekend, with several killed in Pennsylvania and Tennessee overnight. You're watching the KOAM News at 10, and it starts right now. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. Severe weather could be a problem for some of us here in the 4 states. We go straight to meteorologist Nick Kelly for the latest.
Well, thankfully, Chris, we didn't have to deal with severe weather for much of the day, certainly with the morning round of rain that passed on through. We're quiet from now from 7th and Range line. The low is 62 with the high of 78 at Joplin Regional this afternoon. Before that, we saw about 1,400ths of an inch of rain. But we're not done with the rain chances yet. This is why we're declaring an alert day, technically just for tonight and early Monday morning. A severe thunderstorm watch from Allen, Neosho, Labette, Craig points west until 3 a.m. It's not because of the storms that we've been seeing trying to get going from Garnett back to the east of Fort Scott near Nevada and across central parts of Barton County. It's because of what's trying to get organized off to the west. A complex of storms stretching from Salina near Great Bend and another complex of storms out near Medicine Lodge. So all of these are going to try to congeal in one way or another and head on through. But before that, we're in the upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. A quick look at your day planner. We'll have to deal with those storms overnight, which will pack a bit of a punch. Dropping temperatures as well down to 65 degrees. Then we're dry for the rest of Monday morning after the morning rush. And then topping out at 82 with quiet weather for the afternoon ahead. Chris will break down what the storms will do tonight and look at more rain for the week ahead here in a few.
All right, Nick, thank you. Developing overnight, one person is dead following an incident on I-44. That incident shut the eastbound stretch of the highway down at exit 4 just before 2:30 this morning. The Joplin Police Major Crash Team was called to the scene. The interstate was closed for about 3.5 hours. No other information is available right now, but the Joplin Police Department is anticipated to release more information sometime tomorrow. And the search continues for 3 inmates from the Berry County Sheriff's Office that escaped on Friday. 29-year-old Lance Stevens, 29-year-old Matthew Crawford, and 37-year-old Christopher Blevins escaped from the Berry County Jail Friday morning. Stevens was being held on drug charges and unlawful use of a weapon. Crawford was held on felony stealing, and Blevins was being held on drug charges, vehicle tampering, and unlawful possession of a firearm. The 3 men are considered armed and dangerous, and the Sheriff's Office says if you see them or know their whereabouts, do not approach them and to call 911 immediately. The 4 State Photography Enthusiast Club held a benefit poker run for 2 of their members, Danny and Donna Wilson. Danny Wilson has had a tough bout with COVID and has not been able to work since September, so the funds are going towards helping him and his wife with medical expenses.
And he hasn't had a chance to work since September, so he's just a fellow photographer friend of ours, and we wanted to do something to help him offset at least some of those ongoing bills.
They do have a GoFundMe set up, and you can find the link to that in this story at KOAMNewsNow.com. There were mass shootings in at least 8 cities across the country this weekend. 2 happened overnight at popular gathering places and left at least 6 people dead. Natalie Brand has the latest.
This is the moment immediately after shots rang out on South Street in downtown Philadelphia, an area filled with hundreds of people out at bars, nightclubs, and restaurants. Witnesses say several suspects fired into a large crowd just before midnight.
We believe that one of the 3 decedents was a male involved in a physical altercation with another male that was potentially the genesis of the shooting. These individuals eventually began firing at one another, with both being struck, one fatally.
Police say at least 3 people died and a dozen were injured. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, at least 3 people were killed in a shooting near a nightclub. 14 others were injured by gunfire and 3 hit by vehicles trying to flee the scene.
There's going to be multiple shooters. We cannot confirm how many.
The weekend of gun violence follows mass shootings in Buffalo, New York and Uvalde, Texas. And the growing threat is leaving Americans feeling on edge. A new CBS News poll finds 3 in 4 parents are at least somewhat concerned about the possibility of gun violence at their children's school. The poll also finds most Americans believe mass shootings can be stopped, but they're not optimistic Congress can act. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers from both sides say talks for new gun legislation are making progress.
It feels to me like we are closer than we've been since I've been in the Senate.
I've never been part of negotiations as serious as these.
Senate negotiators say measures like expanded background checks and investments into mental health and school safety are on the table. They hope to come to a tentative agreement this week. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The House will vote on a separate gun control legislation this week. And Wednesday, the 11-year-old girl who played dead during the Texas shooting will appear before Congress. We take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Thomas Dietz served in the Navy from 1969 to 1973, his hometown, Pittsburgh. We're proud to recognize Thomas Dietz, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, learn more about our other heroes or nominate one of your own at any time. You can do that at KOAMnewsnow.com. Up next, Blue Origin launched its latest spacecraft in West Texas on Saturday, and another business suspending operations in Russia. Check this out. It's our Tower Cam, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. You can check it out anytime on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/power. Blue Origin launched its latest spacecraft in West Texas on Saturday. This marks the company's 5th space tourism flight, and it's being celebrated for its diversity. There are 6 people on board, including the first Mexican-born woman to fly to space. 26-year-old Katia Echiara is the first passenger sponsored by the nonprofit Space for Humanity. She beat out some 7,000 applicants from more than 100 countries. A major hotel operation halts all of its business inside Russia. Marriott International says it's suspending all operations in Russia. Now, Marriott said in a statement that restrictions placed on the Russian economy by the United States, the European Union, and United Kingdom have made it impossible to continue operating. Marriott had already announced in March that it was closing its Moscow corporate office and paused opening new hotels in Russia. The chain has transferred employees there to other locations and also has supported housing Ukrainian refugees in 85 of its neighboring country hotels. South Korea held a National Security Council meeting on Sunday after North Korea fired 8 short-range ballistic missiles toward the sea off its east coast. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol ordered his country to join with the United States to reinforce what he called their united defense posture toward the North. South Korea is describing the North's action as a test and challenge of the security readiness of South Korea's new administration, which took office last month. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the missiles were fired from the Sunan area of the North Korean capital, Pyongyang, and flew between 70 and 370 miles. Japan is calling the launch unprecedented, saying at least 6 of the missiles are estimated to have fallen outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. A little later, movies that open huge usually see their ticket sales fall by about 50%, but that's usually, we'll have the latest in our box office review.
First, we'll touch base on our severe threat to kick off our Monday, and more rain in the forecast, all coming up next. Even though it wasn't too bad for much of the day, including this morning's rain chances, we're going to have kind of a loud night with the chance for severe weather to kick off the new work week. But first, let's see how the morning rain progressed. And thankfully, as we anticipated, that band of rain and storms collapsed as it pushed on through. But it did provide a little more rainfall compared to the rain chances we had early on Saturday. Area-wide averages of about ½ an inch, according to radar estimates. But once you go along and west of US 59, that's where we've had the more measurable rainfall so far. But we've got a lot of flood watches out for much of the region, taking us until 8 a.m. on your Monday because of storms on the way. And storms that could pack a punch overnight. In fact, a severe thunderstorm watch for Allen, Neosho, Labette, Craig counties, and points to the west. That's in effect until 3 a.m. In fact, we've had a couple thunderstorms, even a thin band of showers and storms actually get going before that watch was put out. It's a very thin band, maybe some moderate pockets of rain around Lynn, Mound City, Nevada, and then stretching to the east of Lamar and maybe to the west of Stockton Lake. But again, that's not why the watches are out. It's because of this cluster of storms that got going around Hayes and Salina earlier this evening, and the storms that fired up around Medicine Lodge. And on top of that, we got additional storms trying to fire up along the Kansas-Oklahoma border. So all this is going to try to make a run for us during the overnight. At least for much of this evening, it's been looking like this. Mostly clear skies, or at least quiet skies rather, from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, and from 7th and Range Line to Joplin, where we sit at 70 with the dew point at 65. So we've definitely got the moisture in place to support the rain chances heading in overnight. As far as temperatures right now across the rest of the region, upper 60s to lower 70s. We're all going to drop back into the mid 60s as we get these rain and thunderstorm chances screaming in from the northwest. The storms fired up just to the south of a stationary front parked north of the region, but they're going to be steered our way once again because of the flow of the mid and upper level winds, with a couple disturbances causing those storms to get going as well. The flow of the jet is going to steer those storms right through our neck of the woods during the overnight. It's a low to elevated severe threat, mainly from I-49 west, until about maybe 11 o'clock to start tonight, and then lasting until maybe 5 a.m. High wind, heavy rain, maybe some large hail. I think those are the biggest issues with these storms as they eventually congeal and all push on through. Here's where we can stand at midnight with the thunderstorms working into our western counties and then just pushing through. So it's going to be a loud night nonetheless, regardless if we pick up any severe weather or not to mention a lot of rain, some of which could still linger as we get the morning drive underway. But once we get the morning drive going, I think we'll be done with any severe threats, at least for Monday. And speaking of Monday, the afternoon, it's going to look a lot nicer. We'll be treated to a drier afternoon with returning partly sunny skies, and temperatures going from 65 in the morning to 76 by noon. Highs are 82. Quick look at tomorrow evening. Looks dry to start, but then we've got another disturbance that'll push additional thunderstorms early Tuesday morning. Then we're dry Tuesday afternoon with highs again in the lower 80s. Rain within the next few days alone could push 1 to maybe 3 or 4 inches. And look at how the rain chances want to keep going with another complex of storms Wednesday morning, dry Thursday, and then we got maybe one more chance for a good series of storms on Friday. Then thankfully we're going to start drying out, and we really need to by the time next weekend gets going. So the alert day for Monday is up just for tomorrow morning alone, then the rest of the day is fine. Highs are 82. Thunderstorms Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning staying in the lower 80s. Dry Thursday, storms Friday, and then hopefully a drier pattern sets up for next weekend, Chris.
I know we're definitely going to need to dry out. I know beyond any severe weather threats, we've got that flooding threat almost all week long.
Yeah, we'll take all these rain chances one day at a time, but in the short term, I got my eyes on the storms for tonight.
And I know you'll be here watching them. Nick, thank you so much. Turning to sports, the Cardinals on the road today.
Playing their division rivals, the Cubs, closing out a 5-game series. And the Royals in action as well, hosting the Astros for the series finale. Those highlights and more next. The Royals are back in action today to close out a series with the Houston Astros. Kansas City evened up the series on Saturday with a 6-0 shutout win. Series finale here, 4th inning, Kyle Tucker goes deep for a solo home run, extends the Astros lead to 3-0. Later, 1 on for Salvador Perez. He blasts a 2-run shot, puts the Royals within 1. It's still a 1-run game in the 9th. Tucker hits a line drive to right. That's an RBI single. Then Jeremy Pena gets a ground ball through the gap. Astros get 3 in the top of the 9th. Royals leave the bases loaded in the final frame, and Kansas City falls 7-4. The Cardinals play a 5th and final game against the Cubs this evening. Series is even at 2 games apiece heading into tonight's finale. Lars Nootbaar hits an RBI single in the 9th to force extras. Then Juan Yepes drives in the go-ahead run in the 11th. Cards win 5-3. College baseball, Oklahoma State and Missouri State meet in an elimination game in the regional tournament. This one is one of the wildest games I've ever seen. Check this out. Oklahoma State wins 29-15. But it gets even crazier. The Cowboys were down 12-0 after 3 innings before coming back to win. And unsurprisingly, this game breaks a lot of records. 44 runs is the most combined runs for 2 teams in a single game in NCAA tournament history. And the Cowboys' 29 runs is the team's most in tournament history as well. That wild win earns the Cowboys a spot in the regional final against Arkansas. This one a battle. Oklahoma State tied with Arkansas 10-10 in the bottom of the ninth. The Cowboys need to win to force a rematch tomorrow. Celtics and Warriors on the floor for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Boston stole Game 1 from Golden State, dropping 40 in the fourth quarter to come back and win. So the Warriors trying to win one at home before heading to Boston. Golden State pulls away in the third. They even the series tonight with a 107-88 win. Rafa Nadal wins the French Open over Casper Ruud in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-love. He wins his 14th French Open title on the same day he won his very first 17 years ago. Now, 14 French Open titles is the most singles titles by any man or woman at a single major event. He is now a 22-time Grand Slam champion, also a record. Nadal has been dealing with a chronic foot injury. Here he is on his future.
Wimbledon is a priority, always have been a priority. If I am able to play with anti-inflammatories, yes. To play with anesthetic injections, no. I don't want to put myself in that position again. Can happen once, but no, it's not a philosophy of life that I want to follow. So let's see. I am always a positive guy.
That's it for sports. Still ahead.
Plant in Michigan that produces baby formula has reopened. I'm Wendy Gillette. I'll explain why that's so critical to ease the nationwide shortage.
Abbott Nutrition says its baby formula plant in Michigan is finally back open. The facility was shut down in February because of a recall tied to contamination. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette is in New York with why the development is important.
The nation's largest producer of baby formula, Abbott Nutrition's plant in Sturgis, Michigan, is operating once again. The factory was closed down for 4 months following a recall after 4 babies who drank formula from the plant developed bacterial infections. 2 of them died. The reopening came under new restrictions set by the FDA, an agency under investigation for its handling of the lead-up to the plant closure and recall. Abbott Nutrition said in a statement it, quote, will ramp production as quickly as we can while meeting all requirements. The shutdown exacerbated a nationwide baby formula shortage. Across the country, almost 74% of shelves are empty. 10 states are 90% out of baby formula. Baby Chloe can't tolerate dairy and now can only drink one specific type of formula.
Just terrifying to think, what if I couldn't find her specific formula, because it's not like Chloe can just eat whatever is available.
On Friday, President Biden tweeted that the U.S. has secured another 33 million bottles of formula from Nestle, adding that means more than 127 million bottles are heading to stores soon. The administration flew formula from Europe, invoked the Wartime Defense Production Act, and eased import rules for foreign manufacturers. But the crisis still left desperate parents searching for formula in food banks and at doctors' offices, wherever there was any kind of supply. Abbott will first start production at the plant of special formulas distributed to healthcare providers. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
It will take about 3 weeks for consumers to see baby formula from the Michigan plant back on store shelves. Got to look at the weekend box office when we come back. Coming up tomorrow on the KOAM Morning News, from a one-man show to a tour to the afterlife in Mount Hope Cemetery. Connect Culture stops by to talk about those events starting at 5 a.m. Movies that open huge usually see their ticket sales fall by at least 50% in their second weekend out. Usually. A certain high-flying sequel is defying the odds and setting records. Here's David Daniel with the weekend box office top 5.
I thought maybe this one.
It makes you look like King Zog of Albania.
Downton Abbey, A New Era picked up $3 million, falling to 5th place. The Bad Guys are still zooming along. $3.3 million put the animated adventure in 4th place. The Bob's Burgers movie stayed in 3rd, taking in $4.5 million.
Things just got out of hand.
$9.3 million kept Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in second place.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen.
With no new challengers, Top Gun Maverick fell just 32% in its sophomore weekend, grossing $86 million for a 10-day domestic total of $292 million. Already Tom Cruise's highest grossing film ever at the domestic box office. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, we'll have to see whether Top Gun Maverick has the firepower to stay #1 next weekend when Jurassic World Dominion roars into theaters. So I, of course, remember the original Jurassic Park movie, and I remember, you know, when the T-Rex breaks out of the pen. When I was a kid, that scene just scared me to death.
I just remember when the kids were hiding in the Jeep.
Yeah, that whole scene
that.
was terrifying. I mean, it was just really. Did you ever see original Jurassic
I
Park?
have not.
Oh my gosh. Kids today, I tell you what. Nick, that's the scariest thing is Nick and I are the two oldest people here right now, with the exception of our fine master control operator. So that's a terrifying thought as well, that we're a couple of the oldest folks out here. Turning to sports. This is the thing, though, is you got to be youthful to cover sports, because I couldn't keep up with what you guys do. So what do you got?
Well, I can't keep up with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They win 29-15, then turn around and play another game, and now they're in extra innings with Arkansas. Just a wild day for them.
That's incredible, incredible. Nick Kelly, we have a wild night possibly in store.
Yeah, storms overnight. They could pack a punch, being strong to severe, with wind and heavy rain being the big issues. The alert day is just for Monday morning. Once we get past the morning drive, the rest of the day will dry out, and we'll have highs near 82. More rain chances Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week.
Of course, I know you and Michael and Doug will be keeping up on all of it all week long.
Yes, we will.
Guys, thank you so much. That is our time for now. And, of course, we're always on at KOAMNewsNow.com and with the KOAM Plus app. Thank you so much for making us part of your night.